Well, hey there, YouTube. So this video was inspired by Voluntarily Redacted. We had a little go back and forth over my last video. R.E. Wong Yu, Second Wave Feminism. And we chit-chatted a little bit about socialism, which, you know, as an economic idea, I don't think is too bad. Where the workers own the means of production, and the workers are essentially their own bosses within a company. But as Voluntary Redacted pointed out, the thing is that when those principles and ideas are applied to other shit, like the government, that gets creepy and cringy, because if it's taken to a far enough extreme, it divulges into fascism, where either a majority or a minority of people literally tell everybody what the fuck they have to do. And actually, Voluntarily Redacted was pointing out that in some parts of Europe, you can't even make anti-feminist statements because it's quintessentially labeled as hate speech, from what I gather. Which, that's a major issue. And I know of people who highly believe in socialism. Actually, one of my gal pals up in BG that I went to college with is a socialist, which I think, like I noted, on principle, when it comes to economics, it's a good idea. It definitely has its perks. But when it gets applied to everything else, just like a lot of other things, if it spirals out of control, it goes to a really bad place, which is quintessentially fascism. I personally believe highly in capitalism, but, and here's the qualifier, I believe in well-regulated capitalism, as what was put in place by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, President of the United States, in the 1920s through 1930s through World War II. What happened was the Great Depression, because, kind of what's happened now, honestly. A very small select group of very wealthy individuals crashed the economy. And before Franklin Delano Roosevelt put a lot of legislation in place, this had actually been, America had been on a boom and bust roller coaster for quite a long time, except for they didn't call it depressions. They called it something like, well, I can't think of it off the top of my head. But there was a boom and bust cycle, only it was not as well noted because partially because the stock market wasn't as big as it got to be, especially with the invention of the stock ticker. But that's an interesting little device you can read about. Google it, you know. Capitalism. Anybody can be their own boss and they can make it big. The sad thing is that here in the United States, because of defunding of education, lack of opportunity, and big major corporations, the capitalist system's not quite where it should be. It's not equal. It doesn't give everybody a fair chance. And quintessentially, whereas socialism can meander into fascism, capitalism, if it's not controlled, if it's not regulated, goes into feudalism. Feudalism being in a state where you have a wealthy class and then a peasant class, which is one of the things that you hear the 99% quintessentially talk about. We are the 99%, we are the workers, we are the impoverished, we are the ones who are working our ass off just to feed ourselves, whereas the 1% who have the bulk of the money, they sit up there on their little thrones, not giving a shit, because they have so much money, they are so well insulated. Which, it's 12 of one, or it's 6 of one, half dozen of another, when it comes to which one's better. Obviously, when either of those two systems, socialism or capitalism, are pushed to the extreme, you get bad issues. Seriously bad issues. which obviously the United States and parts of Europe are dealing with right now. So, while capitalism definitely does have its downfalls, if it's regulated, like what FDR put in place, of separating the banks, of making laws against monopolies, capitalism's about the best we got right now. So I just wanted to make that little video, and voluntarily redacted. Rock on. It's good talking with you whenever we have our little go back and forths. Peace out, YouTubes.